Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Epstein. Please stand and state your full name for the record.
Gregory Walker.
May I please go?
Yes,
Good morning, Mr. Walker. How are you?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. So I just want to introduce you to the jury for a little bit. So could you tell us where you work?
Columbia Fire Department.
How long have you been with the firefighting department?
26 years.
26 years?
Yes.
What's your current position?
Battalion Chief.
How long does it take you to get to that position?
Depends on how you hit it. If you hit the promotion right, you can get it. Well, some guys making it 15 years.
15?
Yeah.
Okay. It takes a minute. to
Yeah,
get
pretty much, yeah.
It's not they just hand it to you when you walk in the door?
Nah, you don't get it. No
Okay.
battlefield promotion.
So do you live in Columbia?
Yes, I do.
How long have you lived here?
27 years.
27? Born and raised or no?
No, I'm originally from Birmingham.
Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah,
Okay.
Birmingham, yeah.
So you're a Crimson Tide fan?
No, I'm a Florida Gator.
That's a good man. All right. So when we're talking about May 28th, 2023, were you working that day?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Where were you working? Either were you on the road? Were you at a station?
I responded from my station, which is North Main, off of North Main. Yes.
Do you know roughly ballpark it how far that is from where this happened?
I don't know the exact mileage, but it's not right off of them.
Okay. How about whenever you were notified that something had happened? How long did it take you to get to the location?
Roughly 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay. So you're there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. When you get there, what do you see? Can you kind of describe what the scene looked like?
I get there, my guy was on scene. I think EMS and the Richland County cop. The crowd was getting kind of big around there. So as I always do, I get out my battalion, make sure the scene is secure. I talk to the captain that was on scene, ask what he needed, and then I always try to talk to people that's around if I can gather as much information as we can.
When you say your guys are on scene, do you mean an engine?
Engine company.
How many guys are in an engine?
4.
4?
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys respond to these kind of calls all
Yes.
the time? Okay.
Yes, we do.
So when you get on scene, you see your guys. Do you see any other emergency personnel?
Yes, EMS is on scene.
Okay. Or deputies, officers
Yes.
on scene too?
Yeah, deputies on scene.
Are there a bunch of lay witnesses around or lay individuals, regular
Yes.
people?
Regular people and
Yeah.
EMS in Richland
Okay.
County.
So you talk to your guys,
Right.
and then you kind of mill around, and do you talk to anybody else?
Yes, I did. You talking about on that day?
Yeah.
Yes. When I got finished talking to my guys, I seen another guy that was standing back. I asked him, "Do you know what happened?" And,
Okay. And don't tell me what he said.
okay.
Okay. Without getting into anything that he actually said to you, did anybody on scene, your guys, this guy, whomever, tell you about a gun being involved some way, shape, or form?
Yes.
Okay. Did anybody say that the victim, Cyrus, had pointed a gun?
No.
Did anybody say that the victim was carrying a gun? Did anybody say the victim was carrying a gun?
No.
Okay. Do you know who you were speaking to that day?
Yes, I do.
Could you say who it was?
I don't know his name. I think it was the son of the store owner.
It was Mr. Andy Chow.
Yes, it was his son.
Court's indulgence. No further questions, Your Honor. Please answer any questions from the defense.
Yes, sir.
Scene was pretty chaotic when you got there, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there were a lot of people there gathering at that point?
Yes, it was.
Okay, you didn't actually conduct an interview or interrogation of anybody, correct?
No, sir, I did not.
And of course, the state asked you about whether or not anybody had said anything about a gun. That was their first question to you?
Yes.
Actually, somebody did say something about a gun, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah. And the person you were talking to, I think you identified as the son,
Yes.
said that he told his father that Mr. Cormac Belton had a gun.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you can step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Is that ready to call you next witness?
Yes, the state called Brian Metz.
I do.
Thank you for some seat. The witness stand, state your full name for the record, and please spell your first and last name.
Brian Metz, B-R-I-A-N-M-E. He's
Investigator Metz, where do you work?
at the Richland County Sheriff's Department.
And how long have you worked there?
Next month will be 44 years.
It's a long time. And what is your current job there?
I'm an investigator in the Digital Forensic Unit, which is part of the Criminal Investigative Division.
How long have you worked in that role?
I've been in that unit since 2007.
Almost 20 years?
Yes.
Okay. And prior to that, what were some other positions you had at the Sheriff's Department?
Like most officers, started as a uniform patrol officer. From there, went to several different teams that worked out of investigations, uniform teams at that point. Went to be the resident deputy in the Dutch Fork Valentine area for about 8 years, where I pretty much did everything, worked from home and did everything law enforcement wise. And then have been in investigations since 99, I believe, 1999.
And what are some of your duties as a digital forensic examiner?
The digital forensic unit covers mainly cell phones now. When I first started, we did computers, we did cell phones, which were just coming about, especially the smartphones were just coming about. Also installing cameras and other GPSs and type work like that. And then currently we're kind of split where we have several people that do all the cell phones, and I do just about all of the video. If I'm available, then I do the video and DVRs.
And as part of your role to participate and assist in criminal investigations when asked?
Yes.
And in your career, I guess, as a patrol deputy, a investigator in the criminal investigations unit, and now in the digital forensics unit, have you been asked to collect and download surveillance videos for crimes like murders, robberies, shootings, shopliftings, thefts, and other crimes?
I have.
And you said, you know, compared to when you first started the Sheriff's Department, technology has kind of changed. Has video evidence become a more common and important type of evidence in investigations?
It has. Most major investigations have video involved somehow or another. Most minor investigations have video involved somehow or another. You have a lot of the video that I don't have to deal with because it's automated through license plate cameras and stuff like that, that the investigators or the Intel Division can access through databases. But then a lot of what we have is video that's in stores, people's houses that they don't know how to download, or they've forgotten the passcode or something like that. So just about the vast majority of our cases have something to do with video.
So you mentioned license plate readers. Did that exist, that type of technology exist when you first started?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And so in your role, have you had to learn and become familiar with advances and updates in digital technology?
Yes, ma'am. It's constantly changing. You have to keep up.
Okay. And back in 2023, or May 2023, did you work as a digital forensics examiner?
I did.
Okay. And regarding this specific case, were you involved in collecting surveillance video equipment and other storage equipment from the Shell gas station and downloading videos from them?
I was.
Okay. And did you do a report to document your involvement?
I did.
Did you also take pictures to document your involvement?
I did.
And as part of your job, do you commonly go to like stores, gas stations, retail stores, and other types of places to collect surveillance videos?
I do.
And when you go to these different locations to collect videos for these criminal investigations, typically do you work with the investigator or the deputy involved to kind of learn some information about the case and what video footage to collect and time frames?
My main involvement is they're supposed to give me a time frame that they want. On occasions, it'll be an object that they're looking for, you know, a blue car or something like that, something specific, but I usually need the date and time that they're looking for.
On May 30th, 2023, did you respond to the Shell gas station?
I did.
And that would have been 2 days after the shooting?
That's correct.
And by that date, had Rick Chow already been arrested on May 29th?
I believe so.
And when you got involved in this case, were you aware that this was a murder case stemming out of the child's allegations that the victim shoplifted water from the store?
I was.
And were you aware that another digital examiner, John Burkhardt, had downloaded some videos from the store the night of the shooting?
I was.
And were you able to access the videos that he downloaded?
Not at that time, I did later.
Okay, but at some point,
At some
today. Okay. Or collect additional surveillance and storage equipment and some computers?
I did.
Or after
Did.
Burkhardt did?
After Burkhardt,
Yeah.
that's correct.
And when you went, were there other investigators with you in the store that day?
There were.
Investigators with you.
At least 3 that I recall.
Okay. And when you entered the store, where in the store was the video equipment located?
Back of the store, yes.
And did you take pictures of kind of how the office looked and the video equipment when you first entered it?
I did.
All right. I'm going to show you states 57, well 58 and 59 first, and you tell me if you recognize some of these pictures.
I do.
Okay, and did you take those pictures?
I did.
Okay, what's shown in those pictures?
The first picture is the information screen from the system that was on the computer in the store. The other picture is a screenshot of the monitor showing the different views that were available.
Okay, and showing you 57, do you recognize what's shown in this?
I do.
Okay, what's shown?
So that's several of the computers that were in the store and the 6 servers that were in the store.
Your Honor, the state requests to enter number 57 through 59 into evidence.
Without objection. That be admitted as state 57, 58, and 59 without objection.
So let's look at state code 57. Okay. Now, this picture was not taken at the Shell station the day that you went, correct?
That's correct.
All right. But does this picture show the equipment that you collected from the store?
It does.
Okay. And can you describe what types of equipment is shown in this state 57?
So basically, the 4 items to our left are computer systems. Windows-based computer systems. The other items, the 6 items stacked one on top of each other, are storage systems, currently referred to as RAID systems, that were in store.
Okay, those 2 things at the top, what are those?
Those both appeared to be the network switches.
Were those been the NVRs or?
Well, the first one there's a network switch, and the other one. So, on the top row, the kind of one to the left, that's a network switch. That could be. That might be the back end to one of the DVRs, the NVRs.
Okay.
And then the other one is definitely an NVR.
Okay, so focusing on the 6 servers stacked up, what are servers usually used for?
For data storage.
Okay. Like video data storage?
It can be, yes.
All right. And on the day that you went to the store office, was the equipment like organized like this? Describe how the equipment was laid out in the office when you went.
So the servers were on a shelf that was off to one side. The computers were, a couple of them were on the desk, one of them was on the floor under some paperwork. The DVRs were actually on the other side of the room, but they were hooked in through a network cable somewhere.
Were there a lot of wires and cords attached to these things?
Going everywhere.
You said what?
They were going everywhere.
Okay. And did the investigators at the scene transport these items back to Richland County headquarters?
They did. They were transported back for evidence.
And can you describe like how y'all transported this video equipment back?
I don't recall if they had Tahoes or Ford Explorers, but they were SUVs. As I would turn things off and get them disconnected, then I would hand them out to them, and they were loading them into the trucks, and so that they could all take them back to the office.
Did it fit in like the back seat in one of the cars or front? Like how much space did it take up?
It pretty much takes up a full size Explorer, or medium size, whatever it is, Explorer.
And when you analyzed this equipment, when you got back to your office, were some of those servers and devices used to store surveillance videos recorded from Rick Chow's cameras?
Yes, I was able to get video from the 2 NVRs.
Okay. Now, were you able to gain access and download videos from all of those servers in this picture?
I was not.
And why weren't you able to do that?
I did not have the correct passwords.
Okay. And what were the names of the, systems that you were actually able to access and download videos from?
So there's the Hikvision NVR and the Dalhua NVR.
And were you able to download and access videos from those 2 devices?
I was.
Okay, and why were you able to do that?
I was able to get access into them, and they're NVRs is another name for a DVR that is networkable, and so if you could get access, then you could download from a DVR.
Were any of them password protected? Would you like to see your report to refresh your memory?
I better look at that.
Okay.
So I was given one passcode that worked several items, but did not work the other items that I tried to get into. And I believe one of those DVRs had a swipe passcode, but I was able to get access into both of them.
Okay. And where did you get that password from?
It was sent to me through supervisors at the department who had, I told them, requested it, that some contact be made to get those.
And that contact would have been made with someone in the Chow family?
I really don't
Or
know. It
associated.
was my understanding it may have been with the attorneys that were representing the Chows.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ron, I can't Couldn't understand what he said.
You said,
So I don't know exactly where they came from. I requested them, I was giving them back, and it was my understanding that it may have been from attorneys speaking to the Chow family is where we got them.
so, let's look at state 58. All right, and, what is this?
So while I was in the store and before or it was actually later, I brought up that was the one computer that I could get into that held the Blue Iris software. So that is a sheet that gives you the information on what version and that type thing. So I made a record of that by taking the picture.
And that says that this Blue Iris security software was registered to Rick Chow?
That's correct.
Okay. And is Blue Iris software designed as like a video surveillance management system?
It is.
Okay. And are you familiar from your experience in dealing with different types of video surveillance systems and downloading videos, are you familiar with some of the features of the Blue Iris software, the Dalhua and the Hikvision MVRs that you?
I am, and depending on the cost and how high line it is, there's a lot of different variety in what you can get.
Okay, so let's just talk about some of the general features of these things. Do these camera systems have the ability to customize or add features?
Some do, yes.
Okay. Do they only allow you to operate one camera through the system, or can you have multiple ones?
Multiple cameras.
Okay. Can you have like an audio feature in these types of camera systems? Audio, like do they record audio in some of these video systems?
I'm not hearing what you're saying, man.
Do these video systems record audio in the video?
Some do, yes,
Okay.
and that's usually, you'll have the option to either hook a microphone, or a lot of times that comes off a camera that has a microphone to it, and then you can select and have it come through, and it's usually only done on one channel.
Okay. And do these camera systems, can they offer some type of remote access?
Most do, yes.
Okay. And does that mean that you don't have to be in the actual store or on one computer to access the videos and stuff?
That's correct.
Okay. Do these camera systems have the ability to have remote access through like a cell phone too?
Yes, most manufacturers will have an app that you can download and then access it through that app.
What about the ability of the camera system to take screenshots and save them?
A lot of the systems, even the basic DVRs, you can select a screenshot of the video that you're looking at, and on some of the higher line ones, it's able to download it and put it to a computer that you're using.
And speaking of these, customizable features that you talked about and the added features, can you add any facial recognition features to these cameras?
You can on many of the systems nowadays.
Okay, so let's look at 59. All right, can you zoom in a little bit? Okay. So looking at 59, did you take this photo while you were inside the child store?
I did.
Okay, and are all the cameras on this screen maintained through the Blue Iris software system?
They are.
And is each camera angle labeled by different names?
They are.
Okay, and do these angles show either inside or outside the store?
They do.
Okay. And at the bottom right, it says May 30th, 2023.
That's right.
All right. Looking at that, I guess, let's see. If you look at like the different screens, do you see some of them have like little bells on them?
I do. You're talking about the...
Like a little bell symbol?
Yes, I can see those on several of them.
Okay. Now, when you went back to your office to analyze this particular or software or video cameras associated with the Blue Iris software cameras, were you able to download any videos from those particular cameras?
I was not.
Okay. And were you looking for, what date were you looking for videos from?
From the date of the incident.
But you couldn't find any?
I did not.
Okay. So were you also asked to collect surveillance videos from other locations? around the area?
I was.
And were those locations Spring Tree Apartments and like Greenbrier Apartments?
That's correct.
And where are those apartments located in relation to the gas station in Spring Tree Drive?
So Willow Oaks is the road that runs beside the gas station. If you go down there, the first place on your left is Spring Tree, and then all the way at the end of that road is the entrance, guard shack and all, to Willow Oaks, and then there's a back gate about halfway down there.
And why did you decide to collect videos from those specific locations?
You don't know what you have until you go and look at it and collect it. So with both of those, there was a possibility that the cameras had shown the incident occurring on the roadway.
Okay, and after you reviewed those videos, did they show any of the chase down the street or the shooting?
I could not see that. I could see cars moving and stuff, but the one from Spring Tree is kind of blocked by a hill and trees. The one from the guard shack at Greenbrier is blocked by the hill in that roadway. And then there's a separate camera on a pole by the back gate, and of course they're interested in people coming to the back gate, so that camera's turned down too low.
So earlier, you talked about as part of your job and your kind of just 44 years.
That's right.
At Richland County, as law enforcement, you've collected videos from multiple different types of stores and other gas stations.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's look at take number 57. Okay, so how would you compare the amount of video surveillance systems, the amount of storage servers that the Chows have in their stores compared to other stores that you've been to?
An objection time, because of the foundation to establish that he has that information, or the ability to make it.
Overruled. Go ahead.
So the DVR systems, it's not unusual to see more than one in the store. It's not unusual to see DVR systems that are built into computer systems. What I found unusual was the amount of storage. That's way more storage than I've ever seen at any convenience store or house or anything like that.
Okay, and those 6 servers that are stacked up, those like little individual slots, what are those?
Those are hard drive bays.
Okay. And based on your review of those servers, like how would you estimate how much storage that they had?
If I remember correctly, they each had a 20 terabyte hard drive. So you're looking at 120 terabytes for each box.
For each one of like the big boxes is 120?
I believe that's what they were.
Okay, so it would be estimating 120 times 6
Yes.
is the amount of storage. Okay. And is there like an analogy of like something that's close to that amount of storage that's like
Actually, ma'am, the figures on that. So you've got 12, not 6 in each box at times 20.
So you said what?
So you have 20 terabyte times 12.
Okay. And like, apps and stuff like that, like I guess computer storages, like do they usually have this much storage?
They do not.
Okay. And based on your familiarity with digital equipment, would you describe the types of equipment that the Chows had in their store as low quality or inexpensive?
It would be expensive.
Is it expensive?
Yes.
Okay. Like $200 expensive?
No.
Or what?
I have not priced the Synology. That's a brand name on those storage boxes.
I have no idea, and we object to this on the grounds of relevance. This is very interesting, and a question of the foundation, but it is irrelevant.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just the hard drives nowadays would be very expensive. Hard drives have gone up tremendously. At that time, you were probably looking at several $100s per hard drive. Boxes like that are, I would be safe to say, in excess of $5,000 a piece. The one that I have in my office is nowhere near as robust as that. And it's at least that much.
So it's fair to say they made a large investment in their security and storage equipment.
Yes.
Okay. So you said earlier, as a digital forensic examiner, you have to learn about advances in technology, correct?
Correct.
And are you familiar with facial recognition software technology?
To some degree.
Okay, can you just generally explain what your knowledge of that is?
So facial recognition basically uses biometric points on a person's face. It's science type thing where you pick out so many points that are in the same place. It then basically makes a mathematical algorithm out of it. And then with the newer DVRs and cameras, there are actually some cameras that will do the facial recognition itself, but you can compare that to a known picture and it can tell you whether it's the same person, or it will give you a probability rating as to whether it's the same person.
Is facial recognition a method that law enforcement can use to identify people?
It is.
And typically, to use facial recognition technology, you have to have a photo of that person's face, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And can that photo come from a screenshot of a person's face from a surveillance video?
It can.
All right. And are you aware of Richland County Sheriff's Department investigators using screenshots from surveillance videos to identify potential suspects through facial recognition?
I am. We have an intel unit in the investigative division, and they usually handle that, but they also have software to do it with, where they can take pictures from a lot of different places and use it to compare.
And are surveillance videos a useful tool and source of evidence that can assist in criminal investigations?
They are.
Okay. And even in non-criminal investigations, let's say like a missing person investigation, are you aware of surveillance videos being used in that context?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you kind of mentioned this earlier, but surveillance videos can show people. They can even show cars of interest, right?
So yeah, most of the systems that do any type of recognition can be set so that it will recognize whether it's a person that it's seeing, whether it's a car that it's seeing, whether it's a small animal, dog, cat, something like that.
Have you personally ever been asked by an investigator at the Sheriff's Department to take a screenshot of a person's face from a surveillance video for a criminal investigation?
I have.
Can surveillance videos help identify potential suspects in crimes?
It can.
Can surveillance videos also be used to eliminate people as suspects in crimes?
It can.
Can surveillance videos be used to prove that someone did not commit a crime?
It can.
Now, in the videos that you downloaded from the Hikvision and Alpha DVR systems, were there approximately 5 different camera angles captured in those videos?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, and those captured angles from both inside and outside the stores?
Correct.
And were those videos in color?
They were.
All right. And when you reviewed those videos, did you see any videos that showed the victim inside the store?
I did.
And how well were you able to see the victim's face in those videos?
It was pretty clear. It's very clear video, actually.
Okay. So looking at a still shot from state number 3, and that's from a video that you downloaded, looking at the victim's pants, excuse me a little bit. All right, so you're able to zoom in. Looking at his pant leg, are you able to tell what that symbol is?
It appears to me to be the Nike swoosh.
Okay, and that came from a video downloaded from the Chow's video surveillance system.
That's correct.
So still looking at this still shot, That green box on the victim's face, what does that appear to be?
The green box is what's known as a boundary box, and that's what the system is doing to focus in on what it's looking for or what it sees and recognizes as either, if it was a person, that boundary box would probably be, head to toe or somewhere about there. And so it appears to me that it's looking at the face. I don't know how accurate it is or anything like that.
And what other types of technology have you seen those green boxes show up on videos?
I've seen it on a lot of different DVRs and MVRs.
What about facial recognition?
Yes.
Okay. So look at 59. Or actually 57. Alright, so looking at these, page 59 with the camera screens that you already testified about, when you looked at this picture before, how many different camera angles did the defendant Rick Chow have set up in his store solely maintained from just the Blue Iris camera system?
I believe they're 39.
39? Okay. No further questions.
Cross-examination.
No questions.
You can step down. All right, solicitor, what you got next?
We have one
I just did. How long?
fairly short, I think.
Okay. All right, well, let's try to get that one in for one. Okay, next witness.
Yes, sir. State calls Michael Dooley, sorry.